Welcome along to the Make It Count podcast. My name is David.
My name's Matt.
And this is Gardener's World.
Hey.
Yeah, which is the famous noise that flowers make when they see the sun. Yeah.
You have to listen very carefully.
Really carefully. So, Charlotte and I, my wife, we've lived in our house for over a year now. It's more than 12 months, crazy. When we moved in, I don't know if this is the case everywhere in the world, but here it's kind of not like a normal housewarming gift is to get someone a flower or a plant or something like that, among other things. So a few people got us flowers and orchids, or a couple of orchids, and they were really nice. They're these long flowering plants, so they can flower for like several months, beautiful and in purples and other things. So we had these like amazing orchids in our house, looking great, and then 4 months came past, 5 months came past, and the flowers start coming off, and it's like, have we killed them? What happens now? We're obviously not great green-fingered people, so we looked at it, and then we looked it up, and the internet helped us, and
as it sometimes does.
Yeah,
it has its purposes.
The internet isn't sentient yet. Actually, it was people posting on the internet, but anyway, yes.
Yes, internet overlord.
Yeah, exactly. So we trimmed it back. We probably left it a little bit late, so we had to trim basically the whole stem down to the leaves, and then we kind
to
of
the leaves.
So you have big leaves at the base.
Oh,
you have a big stem that comes out with all the flowers on it.
Do you want to do a drawing, a diagram?
And no, I don't actually. But basically, the whole stem died. That's why.
You cut it down.
I waited too long. I could have maybe caught it earlier, but I didn't.
Oh dear.
Because I'd never done this before. Watered it over time, just a little bit. You're not meant to water it too much. It's not always clear. Too much water, not enough water. But we watered it, got in the pattern of that, and nothing happened for quite a long time. I mean, we're talking a couple of months. And then has these roots that come up over it, and one root didn't look quite like the others, and I got very excited. And I was right to be, because this was our new stem. And again, watered it just a little bit weekly, and it grew and it grew and it grew. Over the course of a couple of months, I think, and only within the last 3 weeks have the buds come out and they've started to flower. So we've got 3 full blooming orchid flowers on it with, I think, 4 or 5 more buds. Right?
Wow.
And I was thinking about this because probably we've now had this over a year, and in that time have really beautiful for like several months, nothing. When all the flowers came off, nothing for like 6 months probably. And just a little bit of watering regularly, and only now are we starting to see the growth of that. And I thought that was a really good lesson, because sometimes we think, grow, can I accomplish this? Can I reach my goal? Can I do it? And actually, this is a journey of a year, more or less. And I could have watered it more, and that wouldn't have made it grow quicker. In fact, it would probably drowned it.
Yeah.
I could have watered it less, and that might have killed it as well. And you can only grow at the pace you're going to grow.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think you're an amazing gardener now.
I don't know.
The orchid medal.
Gardener's outside, right? What's it when it's in the house? It's a house plant, right? A house planter.
You're a house plant, a genius now. Well done.
Yeah,
you and Charlotte.
a flower
Gold
whisperer.
medal.
Yeah, flower whisperer.
So this episode was brought to you by orchidsareus.com. No, that's probably a real
website.
Probably is a real website.
I'd like to have some
Check it out. See if they. Yeah, exactly. No,
we don't reach into their world very often.
Yeah, David just wanted to boast about how good he is at gardening now. No. Oh, okay. Yeah. So obviously the point here is you can't. There are some things you can't rush. Right? And plants have always been and will forever be, as long as we're here, a great what they called illustration. A great example of our growth on things that matter. And as you said, we live in a culture which is everything's got to be up and to the right and instantaneous growth. and sustained instantaneous, meteoric rise, not just linear growth, but exponential if possible. And
10x, guys, you've got a 10x list.
Always growing, always, and never ever fallow, and never ever, looks like nothing's happening, or even over time something's died. But of course, in that time, all that time you're watering it, it's not actually dead. Because if it was dead, never would have come back with flowers. Stuff was going on inside, and I equally am not an amazing botanist, so I don't know exactly what was going on. But I do know, for example, from a little bit of reading about trees generally in climates where you have a winter, a spring, a summer, and an autumn. In the autumn and that winter, they kind of withdraw within themselves, but actually they then putting roots further down. And it's not that nothing's happened. They're getting ready for the winter, maybe strengthening their foundations, but also if they tried to keep their leaves on and everything, it would be bad in the winter. And so there's stuff going on. They're preparing, even though it doesn't look like anything's happening.
Yeah, and obviously here in the UK, we've come from an agrarian society where it very much follows the seasons, and then we've moved to industrial, and now sort of like post-industrial, probably.
Information-based, digital-based,
service-based
economy.
So we've become a bit disconnected from the reality of what growth in the actual world can look like.
Yes.
And I just thought, actually, that's really valuable, really refreshing to realise that, hey, I might want to grow in my character or in a habit or whatever. And actually, the expectation that should just happen immediately is not a reality, and it's okay that it can take a bit of time, and we can be a bit patient with that growth.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of quotes I like. The classic one is, the thing about being the overnight success is they don't see the 10 years of hard work that went in before.
Yeah, I remember
People only ever see it once you've breached that barrier, or that sort of, you're now famous and you've now made it. Forget the years of obscurity and hard work and grind. But years ago I read a brilliant quote. It was quite an extended one. It was about how you can't force a tree to basically drop its, like a fruit tree. You can't force its fruit early. You could try and beat it. You could try and, sing to it. You can try all these things. Nothing would happen. If you did try and beat it or hack at it, you might just kill the tree and never get any fruit. But if you're patient, maybe do some tending to it, do some pruning in the right season, and then you just wait. Even if you were to just sit and wait by the tree, eventually fruit would just fall from it to you. And there is that element of patience. In lieu of finding that quote, I found another one from the great philosopher Al Pacino. The fruit falls off the tree. You don't shake it off before it's ready to fall, which is definitely more pithy. And I think that's just that same element. In this case, no fruit from the orchid, but the flower is the same thing. It is the thing that we're looking for. We don't, you don't have the orchid in your house for any other real reason other than the beauty of the flowers. It's not really giving any other. So you had to wait and tend whilst nothing was happening, or it looked like. The flower was in obscurity. Maybe the roots were spreading out doing something.
And I've seen recently a few videos about, how would I say, managers or bosses being, well, unkind, but definitely impatient with people. And it's just like, oh, that's not, like you said, you can't beat this into somebody, the development, the growth. As a teacher now, I can set the stage, I can do the right things, but ultimately that change towards learning and development and growth, I have to nurture that, but I can't force it. I can't take a child from one place and expect them to be at another place just by trying harder or forcing it faster. That development, that increase in knowledge, that increase improvement in shall we say, learning behaviours, it doesn't happen, and you can't force it. And I think for ourselves, we have to remember the same thing. We want to change our health, we want to improve this thing, we want to start this thing or drop this other thing. It's going to take some time before you see the development, to see the growth. And that's a flower, right? Flower, even a long flowering flower, is only several months. Let alone
today, gone tomorrow.
Let alone a tree, that can take decades to grow year on year on year. And isn't that what we want to be? You know, those trees planted, unshaken.
Yeah, absolutely. And to finish with an even better quote from Stephen R. Covey. You can't have the fruits if you don't have the roots.
There you go. So let us know what you think and see you next week.